question is about what if you knew someone who appeared to have a strong relationship with God, but they committed suicide. And does suicide automatically mean heaven or hell? I'm not trying to reuse this answer over and over again, but I think it is important. When suicide happens, we suddenly try to make a judgment that we don't make about everything else. We want this like cut and dry. Everybody who commits suicide goes to heaven, or everybody who commits suicide goes to hell. And in the end, it's really an unanswerable question about anybody who dies of any cause. That you really don't know. The judge is the only one who really knows. I mean, God's the only one who really knows the answer to the question for them individually. I think number two, I don't think that God's a blanket statement type of God on everything. There is right and wrong. I'm not saying there's not that. I mean, I often think about, okay, let's take someone who's at war. Okay, let's take someone in an ancient war where if they caught you, they were going to torture you and kill you anyway. And as you saw the army approaching and you were the last one on your battlefield, you decided to fall on your sword because you knew that it was going to be bad for you if you didn't. So technically, you committed suicide. Is that the same kind of suicide as another type? What about someone who completely loses their cognitive abilities and reasoning? Like they fall into mental illness to the point that they don't know who they are. They can't answer coherent questions about themselves. They commit suicide. How is God? Is that the same thing as a guy or a girl who had a breakup and went too far to get back at them, which is often what happens in our society. They had a bad thing at home and they tried to prove once and for all. Or someone who just said, I need to escape. I mean, there's so many different things that it's hard to just make one big, yep, everybody does this and everyone does this. And I trust the judge on this one. And I would say this, and I think the people who say that everyone who commits suicide go to hell use the scriptures about murder, no murderers in the kingdom, and therefore if you murder yourself, then you can't be in heaven and all those things. I mean, technically the Bible does say that. I'm not saying that there are going to be a lot of murderers in heaven. I do know there are some murderers in heaven, like Paul, some of the thieves on the cross, and people like that. But I mean, I think the Bible is speaking of those who are actively not repenting and living a lifestyle of murdering people. I'm not sure suicide necessarily characterizes you in that capacity. Again, that's a judge question. It may not. It may be that all people commit suicide don't go to heaven. That may be the correct answer. I think though it's not a question that we can answer exactly fully here on earth, and that I take peace in that. Instead of me sitting around depressed because I think everybody's committed suicide is in hell, I take peace in knowing that, I number one, am mourning that they made that decision. And number two, I'm hoping that their hearts were in the right place with God, even at the last moments, even at the moments after that they had inflicted the suicidal act upon themselves before they crossed over into eternity, they made a change, cried out to God. Who knows? I don't know what happened. I do know that God knows. God is just and merciful. He will allow you to make your own choices, and He will let you be held accountable for those choices. That's part of His mercy. And so it's just it's a weird question with no huge answer. I do think that suicide, though, I will say this, I don't want to stand before God as one who has committed suicide and to find out. That would not be the place I'd want to be. I think it'd be better to not find out. I think it'd be better. I do think that it's also an attack and a lie of the enemy to destroy your life. I'm not trying to over-spiritualize everything, but most people who commit suicide are tormented, to a certain extent. And being tormented, that's an active verb. Being tormented, somebody's doing something to you. And so it may be that you've opened a door. It may be that you've allowed those things in. It may be that you're already predisposed for those things, but I think that you're getting picked on. And so I would encourage you, if you ever feel that you need to fight it. Don't just hope that it goes away. There is, if you're being fought against, there is a time to, and it's right now, to fight back. And suicide is not God's will for your life. I believe that. So I hope that helps a little bit.